Hi everyone, we want to introduce you today to our new cyber talent. My first question to the talent is, as we begin, could you introduce yourself and tell us whether you are just starting your first role or transitioning into cybersecurity from another field?
I guess I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name's Tyler Tweedie. I've been in cybersecurity for about a year and a half now. I actually just got a new role. I had my first week in my new role this week as an information security analyst at a bank in New Jersey.
I can go next. Hi guys, I'm Sarah. I'm pretty new to cybersecurity. I've been working in my current startup for about half a year, and previous to that, I was working in finance at a private wealth management firm. But cybersecurity has been great, and I'm loving the experience so far.
Hey everybody, hope everyone's been having a great day so far. My name is Hector. I started as a SOC analyst back in May of this year, so not too long, but it's been great transitioning over from the service desk into cybersecurity.
Fantastic. Nice to meet you all. And I'm going to continue the questions with cybersecurity requires constant upskilling. What are the ways you personally stay current and can use things that other people can easily adopt?
I always believe in bettering yourself in everything in life. I do jujitsu too, so that's a big thing too. I always try to better myself in a way. But in the cybersecurity aspect, I'm always pushing for certifications or I either want to get my OSCP right now to help me out with the blue team and the red team aspect, or I want to get my blue team level 1 right now. And then also too, I'm in a diamond league on Try Hack Me, so I'm always pushing myself in that aspect as well.
Yeah, I mean, kind of along with Tyler was saying about bettering yourself. Being new, I'm just trying to grow my network a lot. So I'm speaking to anyone from DevOps or to CISOs and just ask them all kinds of questions of what they do day to day and how they see the space growing and kind of what's on their mind, just so I can keep up to date with all the newest updates that cybersecurity has.
Yeah, upskilling is a pretty important topic. I think exposure is one thing that stands out to me a lot, is exposing ourselves to new things or things we don't quite understand, even if it's something that might be complex or complicated. No matter what kind of role that we're currently in, whether it's in IT, tech, or something completely different, just exposing ourselves to new things that we can try to learn, we can try to grasp. Even if it's difficult at first, over time, you'll start picking things up, and next thing you know, it'll be much easier, whether it be some sort of technical skill or even soft skills too, which are also important. So.
Thank you. My second question would be, what kind of questions or expectations from employers surprised you during interviews, and how do you prepare for them?
So I actually just had my interviews probably 3 weeks ago with my current job now. Things that really surprised me is obviously the technical aspect of what kind of projects you can provide and stuff like that. But also too, it's a lot about kind of volunteering. My bank that I work for is very heavy on community, it's very community focused. So I've done so much volunteering for special needs kids, teaching them how to play football since 2014. There's a cool program we have in Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, so with a startup, I was kind of also just being new to the cybersecurity field. I was kind of expecting a lot of technical grilling, which I was definitely a bit nerve wracking. But I think, especially since I was kind of doing the more operation sales focused type role in this startup, it was a lot more of just the interviewers were more curious if you were passionate, if you were a quick learner, how you worked with other people, just to see if you can handle that startup environment. So they want to know if you can take ownership, how I would deal with some ambiguity, talking to different roles and, just tailoring different questions and expectations with different types of companies and countries. And yeah, so it just through my past roles, I had to just kind of explain that I was a quick learner, ready to jump in and just wear multiple hats.
Yeah, something that surprised me, my first dedicated security role has been as a SOC analyst with an MSP, which, as you know, is like a managed service provider. They handle like tech or IT stuff for a lot of different clients and firms. So I was expecting the technical questions to be more complex and sort of remain in a technical role, but I was surprised how practical they ended up being. So rather than asking a technical definition of a term, it was more so like, how would you triage some sort of security incident? Or like, how would you explain like a phishing attack to like some non-technical user? So kind of having those key or that key ability to sort of like explain or communicate things or sort of have like a customer service uh, aspect to the skills that you have or something that I was surprised with.
Great. And a question. Um, what specific action or decision made the biggest difference in helping you finally get into the field?
Um, the biggest action was definitely, so I started off with the ISC2 CC, that free certification. Well, actually, no, actually started with the Google cybersecurity cert first, and then I got my ISC2 CC about 2 weeks after that. So that's really like kind of what jump started me into like really getting into the field and like really just seeing like what cybersecurity is all about, learning the fundamentals.
Yeah, I would say like my jumpstart into the field was a bit different, just again, because I'm not like a engineer or anything along those lines. But I think what helped, at least like previous, I was working private wealth management. I knew I wasn't really interested in that sort of finance. So I was looking at venture capital boards because I always found startups and new tech very interesting. And I saw the job boards that they had posted. So I was just applying to kind of any ones that I saw. And I think when I was getting asked like how like technical this would be, again, it was just kind of more of that passion aligned focus and being interested in like the thought of my company focuses on pen testing. So the thought of just like fighting real attacker groups and real threats, that was pretty exciting. So again, mine's a bit more about the passion focus and showing that I was a personal person and can just handle the customer focused type of role.
Yeah, I'd say for me, it was a little bit different than that as well. I ended up sort of being able to start working on the help desk or service desk. So kind of just starting with IT support. And so from there, I started sort of what I had mentioned before, like exposing myself to different security related issues or security related things that I could expose myself to even outside of like a work environment. So I started working on like personal projects, doing different things where I could like post repos on like GitHub, and starting to go through different things that I would find, even resources like on LinkedIn from people that love to share different opportunities for certifications or for being part of different like online security groups. Things like that sort of helped me be able to like bridge that gap and eventually make it over into like a SOC analyst role.
That's great. We have another question. What was the single most effective thing you did, specific project or networking strategy or resume detail that you believe directly helped you land your current role?
Big one was mentorship. I signed up with Gladys from Cyber Potentials. She's been the best. She helped me out with everything, networking, my resume, everything. So I give it up to Gladys and Cyber Potential for mentoring me and helping me get into this current role now.
Yeah, along those lines, networking is huge. If you know someone that's like kind of vaguely in the industry or has some sort of tech role that you're interested in, just lean on and ask for help. What kind of questions and like projects would be the most interesting to an interviewer, and showing that you're passionate, I guess following them on LinkedIn, liking posts, knowing like new cyber news or new threats that are on the horizon, and new tech, and yeah, kind of just broadening up with current news, and yeah, reaching out to your network base.
I would say for me, one thing was certifications. I know that's one thing that's everyone knows about and everyone talks about, but I saw it make a pretty big impact for me personally on making the leap into cybersecurity. One thing going for like the CompTIA like triad, A plus, Net plus, Sec plus, but also venturing into other ones that will help with getting any sort of other skills you might need. So I ended up being able to get some from like firewall vendors, small things like that that kind of helped out and added to sort of maybe like a networking aspect, which is one thing that is crucial, I think, to cybersecurity. But for me, certifications was one thing, and another thing as well was training. So I was able to find a lot of different resources online that for the most part were free, and all it cost was just time, like just giving your own time after work or on the weekends and things like that, going through these trainings, going through different labs that kind of expose you to different threats and techniques and remediation processes that you can kind of like get familiar with, and will eventually help you with getting into cybersecurity or with developing further into your career.
Fantastic. So, what's one thing you wish you would have known before starting your first cyber job that would have made the transition easier?
Definitely, I wish I learned more about networking and I wish I had like the Network Plus and the A Plus knowledge before I came in. That would have been huge. I had to like learn all that all on the spot. Um, so I should have talked about what I did before. So I was a graphic designer from my company in the beginning, my old company, and then I worked my way into like data integration, and then I eventually became a security analyst after I got my Security Plus. But Network Plus and A Plus, like learning how how computers talk to each other and everything, it's so important, and that's definitely something I wish I knew in the beginning.
Yeah, so like working for a startup, I mean, before that, there was always a system in place kind of with like my old firms and all of that. And you really have to wear multiple hats and kind of be a quick thinker, and new problems will arise, and new systems. And now that I have gotten recently promoted to an account executive role. So the technical knowledge is very steep, and the learning curve for the questions I'm being asked are most of the times like kind of out of like my range. So I brought that up to my manager pretty quickly. And what we did was create a chat GPT. So we're building that, and I can just build on top of it, bring up new questions that are helping the other salespeople also with their calls. And that's been really helpful on the side of like whenever I get asked a question I don't know, just asking that chat GPT and like layering that into my next calls down the line.
I think, in my opinion, one thing that would be good to know, like before starting your first cybersecurity job, I think it would honestly just be to have like familiarity with technical systems or the technical side of things. It's one thing to like go for a cert and you don't have a whole lot of experience that kind of gives you exposure or like basic system level knowledge for a lot of different things. In my opinion, when I started my SOC analyst role, I started being exposed to a lot of different system processes, a lot of different threats and like techniques that I wasn't familiar with. But luckily I did have like that background in like the IT support where I was able to quickly like connect the dots and understand like, okay, I may not know exactly like how this threat actor is going through the system and doing these things, but I know how the system does work on a basic level. And from there, it's easy to sort of put together building blocks and get to that point where you would like to get to. Um, for whatever role you're at or going for. So
We're having audience questions, and one of them is, what is one skill you underestimated or didn't focus on during your studies that has turned out to be surprisingly important in your day-to-day work?
Well, oh,
Um,
sorry,
oh,
Tyler,
sorry.
go ahead.
Sorry, my bad. Man, was underestimated or didn't focus on during your studies. Well, definitely going back to like the A+ and network plus knowledge. Like, make sure you know how computers like communicate with each other and like how like computers work. That's definitely made like very important. And then some study things that I do. So like for my Security Plus, for example, I had a little like notepad, and what I would do is I'd stick it to my computer at work, and it'd have all the ports and services. So I'd always be looking at all those ports to remember every single service and port, like all your basic ones like HTTP, HTTPS, LDAPs, DNS, so on and so forth. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since like I didn't study cybersecurity or any of that in college. Um, and again, mine's just more sales focused. You don't really learn as much of like customer facing roles and like just what questions to tailor to people. So it's a lot more of like personable knowledge and just kind of being like socially aware and uh tailoring to each person. It's mine's I think a bit more of kind of like work experience, especially with like being a salesperson. It's less technical, and I think I definitely wish I studied coding or cybersecurity, like taken a class in college. That would have been very helpful, because it's a whole nother language. So I'm learning a lot, and yeah, just I'm learning right now. It's kind of yeah, it's pretty much.
I think for me, so with my current role as a SOC analyst, we have like the blue side, the red side, and for the blue team, it's a lot of defending from different threat actors, different attacks, any kind of like security incident. And with all of those things comes logs, a lot of logs, firewall logs, network logs, user logs, system logs. I mean, there's logs for days. And so I know there's a joke within like the cybersecurity industry on like all the different tools that we use within security, and all of that really comes down to like Excel or like Google Sheets. And that's because we can take all of these logs, put them into Excel, and then we can start sifting through that data a lot easier. And so I was not expecting how analytical the role was, as far as like going through all of these logs, going through different data, and um, how effective something like Excel can be to do that. So that's one thing that I sort of underestimated in all of my certifications and all of my studying. Was I was focusing on what I thought was like the big things for security, and then coming into it, half of my day ends up being going through like Excel spreadsheets of different logs and different activities. So that's one thing that I thought was surprising. I think that's probably going to be different based on what roles you're going into. Be it GRC, it might be something else. If you're somehow getting into red teaming, that's going to be probably a little bit different too than being on the blue team side. But at least in my experience, that was something that I was surprised ended up being part of my day-to-day work. So.
All right, let's jump into another audience question here. How did you bridge the gap when you encountered a technology or problem on the job that you had never seen before in your training?
Usually like if I ever have I can encounter problems like a lot. So like you just have to ask a question. No question's a dumb question in cybersecurity. I'd rather ask something that is perceived as like from me being dumb than end up screwing up and like maybe do like a misconfiguration on the firewall and you like open up a port and then that gives attackers a way in. So like always ask questions. Like this is a great field to always ask questions. No question's a dumb question in cybersecurity.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of questions again that are just out of my range, and I write those down because I'm going to get asked those questions again when I'm talking to a CISO and they're asking about what application is going to connect to like what services, and I just write those questions down, put them in the chat GPT that we have, ask our engineers, and I think that just really helps for depthening my knowledge in cybersecurity. And I'm guessing a lot of these things too, if you're even interested in cybersecurity and you're not on the engineering or kind of more technical side, there are also so many roles like the sales or just operations and working in a startup that you can still be in cybersecurity in the industry, just not doing actual coding or engineering work. And so you can still be in the field, and I love it. And yeah, I just won't be doing any of the computer stuff. So yeah.
I think for me, when I started working in the IT field, so just starting in like uh, tech support, it was sort of one thing, being exposed to a lot of different tools, a lot of different applications, a lot of different computer systems, and trying to walk users through how to resolve an issue or resolving it on my own, kind of started building up the ability to sort of like research the problem that I was seeing. And so going into like my first cybersecurity role, um, I felt the exact same way, but I felt it was magnified like by 100 times. The amount of like technologies or tools that I was encountering that I hadn't really ever seen before, or even the problems that I was running into, the security incidents or like the threats that I was reviewing or investigating. And so I think within cybersecurity, there might not be a day where you'll go through and you won't have something that you haven't seen before or you haven't experienced before. And so being able to run into something like that and sort of be like, okay, well, I'm going to break this down. This is what the issue is. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I can do to try to get to like my resolution. And then through those steps, you can research different things. Like Tyler has mentioned, you can also reach out to a colleague. Almost always you'll have someone that you can reach out to no matter what company you're working at. It might be a peer that's in the same role or same level as you. They might have a little bit of a different background and knowledge, or it might be a superior of some sort. Um, though everyone is always willing to help within this industry, and that's something that I've come to enjoy about it. And so I think that would be probably the biggest thing is just being able to just look into what a problem might be and being able to sort of find a resolution for it. Most of the times you can find a good solution if you dig deep enough, I guess.
Great. Another question is, how do you learn to interpret logs? How do you come to know what's normal, what's malicious given a set of log data?
Let's see. I had to learn about logs. You always want to see what kind of processes are happening in the logs, like what kind of executable file is going on or something like that. And then like if you usually have questions like Copilot is like perfect because like you could just put in like the processes and see what they do usually. And then obviously, just ask a coworker too. I mean, everyone's always willing to help too, but if when in doubt, you can always just kind of AI it and just kind of, learn about the process that way.
I'm gonna pass that question to Hector just because that again, that's not something that I do with my role, but it's a great question.
Yeah, that really is a great question. That's something that I think you'll end up learning once you start kind of going through it. And at first or for a little while, it might be something that you may have to go to a colleague for, you may have to ask about, or like what Tyler was mentioning, checking with AI or like ChatGPT, who helps to sift through a lot of stuff too. But I think what you start seeing as far as like interpreting logs is you do find sort of what's like a base level or a base amount of, we should get approximately an X much amount of this type of activity within logs, and eventually you'll start seeing like different patterns, or something that is out of pattern possibly that will stand out. And I think with a lot of tools that we're seeing in the cybersecurity industry today, a lot of these tools come with AI already built in that is sort of going through these patterns and is able to easily detect something that's within range and something that's without. And so with that, we're able to reduce any kind of noise for like sim logs or activity logs, user logs, system logs. And then it's also able to sort of highlight things that are out of ordinary, and then pushes that over to like someone like myself or a SOC analyst that can go through those things. So manually being able to go through logs is important, but half of it is also going to be sort of what tools we're using, which will obviously be dependent on what company you're working for or sort of what you might be doing. But doing something like Splunk, for example, from home on your own is going to be a perfect way to sort of start ingesting logs, maybe from your own systems, or if you have like a home lab that you're using, you're able to do things like that and sort of see what it looks like to sift through logs, and then you can kind of try to figure out what's normal, what's not, and sort of start building up those skills that way.
Great. Okay, next audience questions. Many newcomers experience imposter syndrome. Could you share if you felt this and what you've done to build confidence and overcome that feeling in your first year?
Definitely in the beginning when I was first learning about cybersecurity and everything, you're gonna have that imposter syndrome, but like we keep saying here, you always have to ask questions. You always gotta think outside the box too, and always improve yourself because try hack me, perfect example of just bettering yourself every day, like in that respect.
Yeah, again, I mean, just like harp on that, use the resources you have around you. I got really lucky having a great boss who's open to like all the questions I have and being respectful of his time. And I just like to write those down, see if I can answer those first online. A lot of it can be answered online, but just coming prepared and showing you're passionate and a quick learner and just reducing those mistakes. But especially if it's a problem you're encountering the first time, uh, there's going to be problems that happen, and it's not going to be the perfect fix or the perfect at least call for what my role is. But you kind of just say, hey, that's a great question, I'm going to write that down and figure out what I can do and answer it in a more productive way when I revisit when we talk again. So
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Imposter syndrome is something that I think I've felt a lot, especially since I'm still going through the first year of my dedicated like cybersecurity role. I think you'll probably feel imposter syndrome most of every day, and even when you think it's gone, it might come back in a different situation that you might run into. And I think really the big thing for imposter syndrome is just time. It's something that you have to be patient with. You have to give it time, and you'll start feeling confident just in the same things that you're doing day to day. I know when I started, I started going through different alerts. I started going through different threats that were being escalated, and it was sort of like, I don't know what I'm doing here, or I don't know what I'm looking at, but I just went through weeks of training, and so kind of remembering to slow down for a second and just take it a step at a time, you'll realize that you can do it, that you do know this information, you do know this stuff. Um, so I think time is just going to be the biggest thing that will help sort of build confidence and overcome that feeling.
Another audience question is, in cybersecurity, we are constantly faced with unfamiliar tools. What is your personal strategy for approaching dense technical documentation to quickly learn what you need without getting lost?
So documentation is great, but I also prefer just watching a YouTube video on someone just using the tool themselves and just looking at an instructional video that way. Um, like, I mean, I hate kind of just digging through documentation to find something. You can usually just find it on YouTube or even AI. Just put it in, put in the process, and they usually tell you how it works. You might have to change a couple of things here and there, but I think video tutorials are the best. I'm a hands-on person. I don't like lectures and going through documentation or anything. So yeah, definitely just YouTube it out sometimes if you have to.
yeah, I mean, I'm guessing I might be answering this question in a maybe different way than it's being asked, but my our startup is proposing a new tool for a lot of companies to start using. And what I figured that a lot of people want to know is are we going to solve your pain points? What's something that the tool that you're currently using that you're not enjoying? People love demos. People love case studies. We get a lot of questions like what companies are using your product, and yeah, just giving them those white paper materials. Live demos are great, and if you can, we have dashboards with only read-only environments, so you can just kind of see how what your team needs is demoed in that environment, mock environment. So that's been most helpful for clients that are asking about our pen testing tool that we're trying to sell to them.
Yeah, my personal strategy for approaching something like this is I've I think I like to do it two different ways. I am someone that's hands-on, like Tyler's mentioning too. So I do like to go and see if I can find either a video of someone walking through it, and in that they might say some sort of tip or trick or something that you wouldn't otherwise know. And the other thing I like to do, I do like to go through documentation, but when I go through it, I sort of make my own documentation from it. So as I'm sort of like sifting through, I'll pull the things that I feel are useful for me, and then I'll either set it in a different like OneNote or a notepad or something like that. And maybe I can just copy paste or take screenshots of it, but I'll be saving sort of my own little documentation where I can keep track of what I feel is most useful based on either what I'm doing or what my role is. And I feel like that's something that's been able to help me out a lot in the different tools that I've been able to use. But also within the role that I'm in, specifically, we have a lot of knowledge-based articles, and a lot of companies will do that. We'll have senior roles that do create these articles that junior roles can sort of go through and use, and that'll help with anything you might be working on. But going through those things and sort of still making your own notes from it, I think is super beneficial and a good way to sort of go through like dense material. So
What is one thing you wish you had known before starting your first cyber job that would make the transition easier?
Basically just like just keep using like oh my gosh, wow, I just lost my train of thought. Like always like use like subscription services like Try Hack Me or something like that. Like they'll definitely like, I mean, I can't believe how many times I've learned from Try Hack Me that I actually use like in my job every day. And it's just like an efficient way. It's not like I know with some programs they'll make you spend a lot of money on like different like tools and like courses and stuff like that. I think it's easier just going the Try Hack Me route, learning like, through like the different modules through that.
Yeah, again, like coming from like a sales background role, it's it's just I've signed up for some really cool newsletters that are keeping me up to date with like new attacks that are happening, and just knowing what kind of threats that people are really caring about. And yeah, just trying to see what resources are out there in that sense. And again, like kind of building my own tools of just like reading, and that ChatGPT is helping a lot too. And that ChatGPT that we have focused for like our product and our industry, but that's kind of what's helped me in my sales role.
yeah, sort of following along, it's I agree with like there's an endless amount of resources online. Anything from like free trainings and certifications and programs that will like teach you things, to labs and simulations like Try Hack Me or Hack the Box. There's even podcasts that are amazing too. There's so many different ways that you can sort of engage in the cybersecurity world without being a part of it yet if you haven't obtained that first role. And all of these different things will just give you that exposure, and be it through something you're reading, something you're listening to, or something you're doing that ultimately will help you obtain that first role and will help you within your career in cybersecurity.
How do you decide what to learn in such a fast-changing field?
I missed a little bit of that. Could you please repeat the question again?
Yes. How do you decide what to learn next in such a fast-changing field?
Oh man. So I've like I've what's it called? Like podcasts, definitely good. Like Darknet Diaries, like learning about like different kind of hacks and like what like how they're actually like, how they're done. Um Also too, like looking at like like common vulnerabilities and stuff like that and how to patch them is definitely like, good to know. Trying to think what else here. Definitely like figure out like what you want to do in the field and then like work your way that way. Like if you want to be a pen tester, like go for like the OSCP certification or some kind of like hacking certification. Or if you want to be a blue teamer, like go for like blue team level 1 for like the hands-on experience while getting that theoretical knowledge as well.
Yeah, I mean, coming from the business like side of that, just keep on your ears open for like the new threats and trends. A lot of that customers are mentioning or are having in those kind of conversations. Look at market shifts, see if they're mentioning a competitor, and then know the differentiating like what we offer versus what they offer, if there's anything overlapping. And yeah, that's been what's really helpful. And just like our biggest competitor, Pantera, you got to know like about them and how we differentiate and why people would care about what our new product is offering, which is continuous pen testing versus kind of more traditional point in time pen testing, and knowing those pain points and like what that would solve.
Yeah, I think for me, I sort of decide based on what I'm doing. So I was able to get into my first role as a SOC analyst, and I know that my next goal or my next step that I would love to achieve is being a part of like a cybersecurity incident response team. And so with knowing that, the next step that I think for me is going to be is looking into like forensics. So I think deciding will be based sort of on like where you're at and where you want to go to next. There's a lot of different things that you can focus on. If it's as broad as going from one role to the next, or as something as small as like focusing from one tool to another. And I've done that as well on my current role. I started using different tools, and so I went from knowing one tool to being like, okay, I'm going to learn how to use the next tool a little bit better, and then the next one, the next one. And so I think deciding is just sort of going to be based on what it is that you would like to do and what it is that you would like to learn next. It's a good question because cybersecurity really is a fast changing field. It will never not be fast changing, especially with like the introduction of AI into like every sort of like business product and tool that's out there. It's going to dramatically increase, I believe, the work that cybersecurity has cut out for anyone that's part of the industry. So.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, it makes it exciting because it's always changing. You're never gonna have like the same day be the same. There's always like new opportunities out there, and I like that more as exciting than if anything.
Yep.
That's great. So, what's the single best piece of advice you could give someone in the audience who's still trying to break in?
I'm gonna say just like we've all been in your shoes before, so we all know what it's like applying for jobs. I mean, I'll be completely transparent. I've sent about 480 job applications out until I've gotten this job, and I've gotten so many rejections. So just take your time. I believe in mentorship too. I mean, like mentorship is one of the most important things, I think, because like going through the journey alone, just it's so confusing, and just there's so many like loopholes you have to pass and everything too. Um, Another big thing is like you have to invest in yourself. Like you can't be scared to like, put some money and gamble on yourself in this field too. Like you have to get your certifications. You have to always improve on yourself, and you always have to put the time in. You can't be lazy with it. Like I hold study groups like in my group, and like I always like, these people come in there and they're dedicated, and I always dedicate my time to them too. So you always have to like I believe in paying it forward as well too. Always helping others in this field.
Yeah, have a mentor, have a few, like keep those connections. With like startups happening kind of like right and left, there's gonna be opportunities there, and just be on the lookout for those, and keep up to touch with people, and just show you're passionate. And always just look for new resources out there. It's like always changing, and just keep knowing like Hector was mentioning with AI, there's just so many new developments happening, and people that need to work in those, and it's really really exciting. And go to the conventions, and yeah, just show you're passionate, and people will recognize that. It's very easy to tell who's kind of just wants a job versus who is just trying to better themselves.
Yeah, and sort of building on top of that, I think, in my opinion, the single best piece of advice could probably be like persistence and like consistency. So definitely trying to break into a different career field if you're transitioning from something that's not related to like cyber or IT at all. Or even if you're already within the IT field, be it something more with sales or with like technical support, and you're trying to shift into cybersecurity, it's going to take some persistence and consistency. It might not be easy, just one application and done, like Tyler was mentioning. I think we've all gone through that of like sending a mass amount of applications and just constantly getting rejections or just not hearing back at all. It's something to sort of expect, when you're trying to get into like that first role, but just being persistent, being consistent with it, not letting yourself sort of be or like feel doubtful about the choices that you're making. Just know what you're trying to get into and like identify the steps that you need to take to get there and work on those. Be it either like building a foundation with like certifications or like labs or like projects or simulations like Try Hack Me or like Hack the Box. um, you know Anything that you go through to try to get to that first role will always help sharpen your skills. So like even if you don't get the role this time, try it again and continue doing what you're doing. And maybe you might not get it the next time, but continue doing what you're doing, because all it takes and the only difference between not getting a job and getting it is just applying one more time, right? So just having that persistence and consistency, I think, is key.
And really quickly on that, like if you have the opportunity and you get a rejection, like if you can't ask that person like why, I've gotten some great feedback on like why I maybe didn't get the role and what they were looking for, and that's really helped me know what to learn and just improve on the next interview.
Something I want to add too is that if your company has a cybersecurity program, volunteer and help them out for like 3 months. Get that on your, get that experience on your resume, and then then you can transition somewhere else too in the future. But yeah, like companies, like they always care about trust. Trust is the most important thing. If you're really good at what you do in your current company, and like they have a cybersecurity program, work your way into that cybersecurity program, build that trust there, and then build that experience up, and then go somewhere else if you need to, or stay too. I mean,
Lastly, we have another question. What didn't matter that you had expected would be important or valuable? What would you recommend not doing?
hmm.
Any more like context on that question, kind of, or
Yeah. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out here.
what are not doing?
What didn't
I mean, maybe for this, like if you thought it was going to be important or valuable, or like you were kind of setting up for that, or it was something that you're expecting on a certain project, or a pain point that you thought someone would be having and it wasn't, don't disregard it. I mean, it might come up. It could still be valuable. It wasn't a waste of time that you learned it. It just might have not been in that certain case. What was a waste of time, effort, and resources? Yeah, I think like it's never maybe you learned it for a reason. It just wasn't applicable at that in certain project or case. If that answers the question. Is this for like a certain like a threat or something that you were trying to solve, or is this? I'm not sure if this is like for jobs or.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That makes a lot more sense now. So a lot of the times too, like I'm sure everyone's done this. They go through like the YouTube journey of cybersecurity. They look up every single video possible. They listen to like 10 million people talk about like do this, do that, do this, do that. Um, your best bet is just to focus on what you mainly want to do. Like if you want to be a SOC analyst or you want to be a pen tester, focus on that one niche, and then put all your time and effort into that one niche that you really are interested in.
Yeah, to sort of build on that, I think one thing is keeping an open mindset when it comes to working towards your role or that first role within cybersecurity. I don't think anything would honestly be considered like a waste of time, effort, or resources. Like anything that you go to work on, anything that you go to do is going to benefit you in some way. Whether it be in a technical aspect, like something that you're trying to learn, like a program, coding, a tool of some sort, or even in like soft skills. Like if you're going through like phone etiquette training or like how to write reports, how to like type up a good professional email, like all of these different things collectively build who you will be as like a cybersecurity professional one day. So anything that you go to do is going to just benefit you. I think the key is just sort of identifying what that thing is that you want to go for first, and then just working towards that, and then just taking it one step at a time. But I think that that would probably be a good way to sort of phrase that. Because I know, like, for me coming into the cybersecurity field, I wasn't sure like what role I was going to step into. Sort of what Tyler was mentioning. I went through like hours and hours of YouTube videos from like different influencers and like speakers, and everyone was just saying do this and go in that way, do this and go in that way, or go for this. And it was like I have no clue what I'm going to do. I have no clue how I'm going to get in there. Like, what should I do next? What should I go for a cert? Should I try to go for like a degree? Should I do some sort of like boot camp or training thing? But just identifying that one thing that stands out to you most, what you think is going to be like the best next step for you, and working towards that.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully, you learned a lot from our next talent, and we hope to see you back in a focused session at some point. And all the best for your new careers. And we have new focused sessions now, and we're starting with Matthew. If you are interested in knowing more about digital forensics and information governance, please stay here, stay connected. Please follow us through the focused sessions, and hopefully we see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.